Hey everybody, and welcome back to Measure Twice, Cut Once. My name is Mike, and when we first started this over 10 seasons ago, I knew virtually nothing, and I know a little bit more now, but luckily I'm surrounded by a bunch of experts who help guide us through the process.
10 seasons? That feels like a long time.
Because we're measuring them in dog years.
Oh, there we go. And I'm Jennifer Lee, making sure that Mike does not pick up a hammer, even though he feels he has 10 seasons of experience. Today, we're welcoming back Todd Best of Best Builders with Eric Serpas Ventura from Vema
Deconstruction.
I want to say construction
Deconstruction,
so badly.
Deconstruction.
We've
but
got
when-
V-made construction.
Vema Deconstruction.
Deconstruction.
It's okay. Deconstruction is a very new concept, and by the end of this episode, everyone's going to know A, what deconstruction is, and B, how cool it is. And indeed, that is what we're here to do today. We're going to talk about the deconstruction process and a very amazing project we've talked about in the past, the 1908 Heritage Project, which is taking a heritage home, taking it down to basically studs, rebuilding it as a net zero energy efficient home. So we're going to talk about how carefully taking this apart can not only reduce waste, but it can save materials and lower embodied carbon.
A fascinating part of building smarter. So let's get started.
Of course, we have our good friend Todd Best back. Todd's been on a number of episodes. I mean, if this was Saturday Night Live, his name would be Alec Baldwin. He's been on our episodes so many times.
You need a five-timers jacket.
Absolutely. And we love having him on because he is has so much information that he loves to share. But what's really exciting for us is we have a first-time guest, of course, Eric from Vema Deconstruction. Eric, for anyone who has not had the pleasure of knowing you and knowing about you, tell us a little about yourself and how you became Vema Deconstruction.
Yeah, no, for sure. And thank you, Jen and Mike, for having me here. Very excited to be here. I was, I did 10 years in the Royal Canadian Air Force.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. And then once I did the 10 years, I wanted to get into construction. So I was thinking about building homes. And as we were getting ready, and one of the things I was excited about was passive house building. So I really got into starting that idea of building homes that way. So before I started, I started looking at these sustainability conferences and started learning more and more about all these ideas in the green technology sector. And one idea popped up, which I saw, which was deconstruction. And it was basically taking homes down piece by piece and repurposing them and reusing them. And I said, wow, that is incredible. And funny story, before that, I was bringing ideas to my wife saying, hey, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about this idea? And this was the first one where she didn't slam the door on me and told me to let's try something else. So she was very excited. And that's when we both got into the idea of starting Vema Deconstruction. And one other thing about Vema is my wife, Vanny, myself, Eric, my son, Marcus, and my daughter, Alyssa, because I truly believe that this is more than just this generation. It's a multi-generational business that we're growing here.
I love it. What happens if you have more children?
I was going to say the same thing. Like, what do we change the name to?
Well, actually, if they're not interested in being part of the business, then I'm just going to find someone else with those letters.
Hiring criteria. You must have. Yeah.
So talk about this little journey towards deconstruction. Was it we've got to get on the project, obviously, but this is such an amazing thing. So help me understand deconstruction. My house, built in 1981. We've talked about this for 10
You've
seasons
talked
now.
about it
I want
all
to
the
rebuild
time,
it.
yeah.
What does deconstruction look like for me? We take a bulldoze it, and then we pick through it. Like, how do we quantify
use
that
a
in a real
bulldozer?
world scenario?
Because some deconstructions don't use a bulldozer. What are the tools you use?
We don't use the bulldozer.
No, we
ever.
don't. Yeah, no, that wouldn't help us. So the easiest way to explain what we can do as a company is we come in, we take an inventory of all the material that's in your home, all the quality things like windows, floors, appliances. All that stuff is how we start an inventory for you, and that's what's going to be donated to Habitat for Humanity or other charities. Once we do that, we then also provide asbestos removal, and we as well, after we're done the deconstruction, which is the removal of every single piece of lumber, that is the second part of the inventory. So all that lumber contributes to the inventory, and all of that lumber, which is especially in your home 1980s, that's still old growth Douglas fir. So fantastic value in that material. So once we combine the material that is there inside your home with the lumber. That gives you a total inventory value. Our appraiser then gives a value to that, which creates a tax credit for you. Once we complete our job, we donate all the material, and then you get a tax receipt that turns into a tax credit. Then that is discounted off your total.
Which normally does account for a big part of the demolition cost, which is what attracted me. As you may say, get a tax credit for $30,000, and it may have cost you $50,000 to actually pull the house down. So it is actually a way of being able to help the economy. And plus, with this available tax credit, it does offset some of the additional costs.
Yes.
And besides giving it all away after you take it down, do you reuse any of the materials for that particular house?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, we're just scratching the surface. All of that lumber can be turned into whatever you can imagine: flooring, soffits, backsplash walls, a million things in design. We can bring all that material, which is Douglas fir, is much stronger, much better than SPF material, and higher quality. I mean, it's coming from 2,000-year-old old growth forests versus 15-year-old SPF, the mixture of 3 trees. So we have much better quality, and that as well can help support back framing. What me and Todd
We're
was
looking
talking
at so much different stuff now. I
Mhm.
mean, you even look at the shiplap, which in the day was sheeting, and they used to put it on a diagonal, and that would give you your strength in your walls. But it was also very easy to get, very easy to mill, and it was cheap to supply. Well, now you can take that same shiplap, and you'll find now that people are making feature walls and using it as more of a finishing material now. So now you're taking all this beautiful old wood, and like Eric said, we are really just starting to see different ways in which we can create either structural components of the home, architectural components, the salvageable components, like all these beautiful fir beams. Homes of that era were designed one way, which have beams would run back to front on a home, and then the joist would sit on top, and that would be your bearing points, usually at 3 or 4 locations. Those beams are 8 by 12, and they're clear fir.
Mhm.
And so now you can take those out and either use them as, patio construction, other structural components of the home. So I think we're really just scratching the surface of just what we can utilize. And it's what really attracted me to Eric was I think he shared my love for, and it's not just the sustainability, but it's also, the landfills, let's face it, they're getting bigger and bigger. We're throwing away all this beautiful material. Now we don't have to, clear cut forests. There's just so many ways you're paying back into the economy. And plus you can have a little bit of fun with it. So
Yeah, I like it because there's been a lot of articles recently and a lot of media coverage on the news about not homes, but about like thrift stores and how thrift stores have
Same thing.
rised
Yeah.
in popularity. It's the same thing, but we're doing it now for the house because the house has some valuable things in it that you would never
100%.
think about.
Yep.
Well, let's change the conversation since we're talking about things rising. Let's talk about this project because from from an old home rises a new home, and I think now that we understand a little bit more about deconstruction, Todd, can you just do a quick recap about the 1908 to net zero project and tell us a little about that and how it relates to working with Eric?
Yeah. So a quick recap, obviously, this is a home that's very, very close to my heart. The owner was, very excited, and I think that's what generated the original excitement about being able to take a home in Mount Pleasant, a 1908 heritage home. It is the oldest home in Canada that has been done this. So it is part of a study with Net Zero Canada and Retrofit Canada, and we've had the privilege of speaking there at the Net Zero conference on this project. But this job has developed over time, and Eric was a big part of that for me right out of the gate. Because again, Eric and I had just met and only worked on a few projects together. Eric, I can now say, works on all my projects. But I brought him out originally to say, this is my dream of how I'd like to do this. I want to lift the home. We're going to do an all new carbon-free concrete foundation. How do I utilize the materials? I want to keep the front facade. And then Eric and I started rolling. And the more ideas we started rolling with, then we were bouncing them off all the other professionals to find out just what we can do. And the more Eric and I talk, the actual more opportunities arise for how we can use the material. And this is where I want to be able to show builders, and this is where I have been a very strong advocate for Eric's business, because as he's trying to explain this to builders and builders that don't understand, I've told Eric, direct them back to myself, because I can tell them from a builder's perspective, this isn't costly. And if you are a little bit creative and are willing to work with someone like Eric, there's all kinds of things that are going to become more available. For me, like I said, finishing, siding, feature walls, cladding. Eric and I are now talking about, building structural panels out of recycled material. And I don't mind using that as a bit of as Eric's actually building a home with recycled panels, his own home. So he's kind of taking that on himself and facing the learning curve so that people can see how it's all done.
Yeah, no, thanks, Todd. There's a lot there. There's a lot we did. And as soon as he called me and before he finished the sentence, I said, I'm in. I'm excited. Pushing forward all material that we can deconstruct and repurpose it and upcycle it is our main goal. And Todd's very great for that. Very easy, very supportive. So we are very happy to be working with his company, Best Builders. And we're excited because we said about a year ago, we started talking about, well, there's so much material coming out of here. There's a big demand for housing in Canada. What can we do? So we kind of just merged them together. And we said, can we build prefab panels using reclaimed material? So we did, and we now next week actually is the prefab panel putting it up actually.
The erection date.
Yeah, the date.
Don't take that wrong.
So that one. So we're gonna put it up, and this is the first house in Canada that is 80% reclaimed lumber.
Wow.
Putting back in. We're looking at putting back in close to 50,000 pounds of lumber reclaimed back into our home. So we're very excited. We want to have it as an example for everyone to come take a look and see that you can use reclaimed. And it's just going to be a show home for everyone to come and take a look. So
Pretty exciting.
Very excited. And that's how it's expanding. I mean, me and Todd are just starting the conversation. This can be something that can grow very quickly. And we can keep using reclaimed in structural.
More and more opportunities.
Yeah.
Great. Congratulations. I'm excited to see the social media journey of it all. But before you get to that part, of course, you've done the assessment. Before you get to, reusing it, let's talk about the fun part. How do you deconstruct it? Because obviously you're not using a bulldozer, you're not using a wrecking ball. If you're going to take a lot of the stuff and reuse it, you're probably not smashing and grabbing.
No, yeah, you're right. No, we there's a misconception always that deconstruction is more expensive and it takes too long. And I can answer those questions pretty quickly now, so we can kind of move forward. And honestly, it's more people working, which is better for the economy overall because we're creating more jobs at the site where we're taking down every piece hand by hand. We use Milwaukee sawzalls to cut. We then take down every piece of shiplap, every piece of rafter, joist, lumber, flooring, whatever you can imagine. We just take it down piece by piece. It doesn't take long. It's about a week once the home is in framing.
It's like building your home in reverse, really.
Yeah. So Todd builds it, I take it down.
Yeah, I was like, it's kind of like a reverse mining because you're mining for gold.
You're right.
But you're mining for gold for the house.
Yeah, my biggest concern, like this is what I've learned in 10 seasons, is that there's two elements that are really the levers that create challenges in our industry. One is the cost of building, and two is the time to build. And what you're saying is like they tore a bunch of houses down on my street last summer. There was 2 days with an excavator there, and so by the time it was set, it was noisy, and it was 3 full days. And what we're talking about was 2 more days, and a considerable cost savings, and being able to look ourselves in the mirror 25 years from now and going, we were part of the solution, not part of the problem.
But look at this as, for me, it's also as a training exercise. Now, I think most young men and young women that want to get into the trades, wouldn't it be great if the sustainability was now part of the training program? Because what better way to show a young carpenter how to build a home than actually showing him how it comes apart? Yeah. Because you can't just go in and go, I'm going to take this wall out, I'm going to take that wall out, and then the house will just come apart. Now, it's not. You take the wrong wall out, and the house is coming down on top of you. So there's a philosophy as to building your home from foundation up, how to build it right. But even when you deconstruct a home, you have to do it in the correct order. So being able to even teach apprentices, like having and saying like, this is why this comes off first. This is why this comes off, because you want to be able to do it in a safe manner. Eric has, and Eric's guys worked with my own carpenters. So they were, very attuned to each other. And even when they took it apart, there were discussions as to how does it come apart in a safe way. So there's really good training opportunities here as well.
Hey, Eric,
Yep.
I got one
Yep.
last question. I know
Mhm.
Jennifer's got some questions too, but this
No
is an
way.
important one. Obviously, there's more people required to take a house apart. Is some of those labor costs, like, are they recaptured in savings to material or offset credits? Like, how does that break down for somebody who's looking at the math of all of this?
So I think it's I was thinking about this and how to kind of you know let people know what deconstruction is, especially with costs and stuff. And there's two ways of really looking at this. One is um, what worked really great for 1908 and working with Todd and the owners was we need to be back. We can't be at the end of the conversation when it's like, hey, I need this home demoed 2 weeks from now or tomorrow. Can you start? That doesn't work for us. We it's just a line item in the budget, and that's the first thing you do, but the last thing you budget for, right? So then you're like trying to find cheap, cheap, cheap. So it doesn't work. So what worked really great for 1908 was we were brought right at the beginning during the initial design stage. And this is one of the most powerful things I think that we can use
Mhm.
because it allows us to come in and say, hey guys, here's all the material that will be coming out of this house. Here's for the designer. Here's for the construction material. Here's how you save money by using this material that's coming from your own home. Here's what you're going to be able to donate. All those things happen at the beginning, at the initial design
It's a
stage.
part of the plan, and,
100%.
and not like an afterthought. And that's,
Yes.
yeah, but you have to change people's thinking as to the sustainability portion of it. And everyone always loves, the whole green angle and all this stuff. But really, if you bring Eric in at the start, which we talked about this doing the design charrette, I mean, that's when Eric comes in because he says, this is the value, this is my timeline, this is how it suits your schedule. And I find that most owners go, oh, I didn't think about that. I said, well, that should be part of the planning, because there are cost savings. And if you do it in the correct order, like Eric for myself, we did most of the demolition prior to even getting the building permit. Well, because we planned it properly, we were able to go to the city, get a demolition permit, take it all apart, got the permit, start construction. But there has to be a plan.
Yeah, that's great, Todd. And I think that something else that we can add to that is that, we did deconstruction for our own home. And because we did that, we were able to understand and follow through the whole steps and see how does that work. So when we looked at it, we said, okay, well, deconstruction is going to cost a little bit more, but we can reduce other things to include that. And I would rather sleep home at night happy, knowing that I didn't, one of the things I always say is that, building your home is the biggest expense of your life, but it's also the biggest amount of garbage that you leave in your life, right? That's all in one moment. So we can stop that. And by changing simple things, maybe I don't want to have a countertop that's $50,000 from Italy. Maybe I can have one that's local for 10,000. There's ways of thinking, and it's a responsibility of the developers and developers and builders to give that option and that view to the owners.
Or sometimes
Yeah.
too, and you probably find this in what you do, is that there are some homes with some really amazing stone counters and things like that you could take that stone and use it in bathrooms or other places in your new house.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I just feel like this is something that I feel like we should have already known. It seems so simple, the concept. We already kind of do it. We already kind of do it in our lives in other aspects, like, when we are making a meal in our kitchen, we're using all different ingredients and we're saving the ingredients that we don't use, and we're cleaning up the kitchen carefully. When we're moving, we're doing the same thing. We're taking things off the walls nicely because we don't want to make the new owners upset. We already do this type of stuff in our lives. When we take down a party, we're taking down stupid
Throwing
things
it all in the
and
garbage
not,
bag. And,
Yeah.
Why? And sometimes we're using stuff. So why aren't we doing this in all aspects of our
I
lives?
think this is where Eric and and this is, I think, why I do love and I always exaggerate, but I do love my builders association. I mean, Wendy and Don both have given me,
Don, our producer. Yeah.
Don, your producer, and also my very good friend, has given me an opportunity to I think, be myself a little bit more, because I mean, this is great that I'm passionate about this and that I've attracted people that are like-minded, but being able to get on a podcast like this and be able to tell people, you know what, there is stuff available. I'm available. Like, I love mentoring young builders, and I mentored quite a few builders in our association, but that's really what this association about, is being able to access other like-minded people and show them how to build a team of their own. And that's I'm so grateful to be able to come on the podcast and speak to you about some of my exciting projects.
Well, you know what?
Cool.
This is, you couldn't have timed this any better, because
Oh,
we want to talk more about all of that. But
Mm.
in order for us to have this podcast, we have to thank our amazing sponsors. So we're going to break for 2 minutes, thank our sponsors, and we're going to be back. We're going to start to break down some of what we talked about and put it into practice.
Measure Twice, Cut Once is grateful to our podcast partners, Fortis BC, BC Housing, and Trail Appliances. Support from our partners helps us share expert knowledge and resources with families looking to build, design, and renovate the home right for you. For BC Housing, creating access to housing solutions that meets everybody's needs is a guiding principle. BC Housing is working with governments, nonprofits, First Nations, and residential construction industry members to create practical solutions to BC housing challenges. To learn more about BC Housing initiatives, programs, and services, go to bchousing.org. And we all need reliable and efficient equipment for better comfort, health, and safety of our homes. Whether you want to adopt some energy-saving habits or make a major energy efficiency upgrade, Fortis BC can help you save energy. Be sure to go to fortisbc.com, where you can also find amazing tips on low and no-cost ways to save energy, plus great information what Fortis BC is doing on low carbon energy with solutions such as renewable natural gas. Trail Appliances makes everyday life better with the best selection in Western Canada. Hassle-free delivery and a price match guarantee. You'll always get the best deal. At Trail Appliances, you'll love buying an appliance as much as you'll love using it. Affordable, accessible, quality housing is a top-of-mind issue for many British Columbians.
All right, we are back. And prior to our break, we talked a little about deconstruction and a lot of the why and the what. Now let's put it into practice. So, as a bigger part of this 1908 project, so we obviously know deconstruction is part of it. Todd, can you talk about the net zero strategies of this project, including the deconstruction, and how all these methodologies and new ways of thinking go together to help achieve this aggressive goal?
yeah. I mean, so the net zero was our original target. To be honest, the salvage part was just something I adopted some time ago, and again was anxious to bring Eric in because the owner was giving us the opportunity to use this as a learning platform. So a lot of points I think I was trying to get across on building practices. I was then able to, like I said, pull a team together, and we were able to discuss this. So this has been a really big learning process for myself as well, because a lot of people that are building net zero homes look at, I'm going to build a net zero energy plus home, and in order to do that, I have to knock that home down. And I said, there's got to be a way that I can still do a beautiful renovation, because building a new home is expensive, and it is daunting to a lot of people, because they're looking at, a net zero home means I'm going to spend all this money on a lot, and then I got to knock that old house down, and I'm going to build a brand new $2 million home, and am I going to get everything I like? And so most of this left renovations kind of out of the equation. So in speaking with Net Zero Canada, when we told them what we wanted to do, one, it had never been done before. So I had a kind of a unique opportunity. But two, they were willing to give me the resources I needed to help me accomplish it. So after talking with like Jen at Build Green, and talking with HAVAN and CHBA, and everyone got on board. The city of Vancouver got excited. I had some pretty good ideas. So then it was, how do I utilize salvage material? Because I knew it was already good for the carbon score, but how do I then turn that into being able to build a net zero home? And again, I challenged my team and said, how do I do this? This is the tools we've got. This is the goal we're trying to accomplish. How do we marry those together? And, talking with Peter at Smithcraft Architecture, again, the designer, Barb, Eric himself, because Eric was saying, this is what we've got on the table. Here's our list of materials. Now, how do you turn that into something that we can physically use? So carbon points, build green, net zero, and I wanted to give the listener, clients, or possible clients, or new people thinking about that. You know what? You can take a heritage home and still get everything you need, and it doesn't have to be something that scares you. Well, a little bit of planning goes into place here, but and helping you choose the right builder and all of this, but it doesn't have to be scary. So it's nice to be able to say an area like Mount Pleasant is all heritage homes. Now, why do I have to destroy that beautiful neighborhood just so I could build a bunch of modern homes? I should be able to keep that neighborhood fully intact, but turn those old homes into a net zero Energy Star home very easily. And I think that's our goal. That's what we want, what we're going to accomplish it. And then we're going to show people how to repeat it.
Well, there's just so much beauty in Vancouver,
Yeah.
specifically when it comes to different buildings. And it's sad when all of them are starting to look exactly the same
I couldn't agree more.
and they lose their character. But Eric, you kind of mentioned this a little bit that some people shy away from deconstruction because it could be a little bit more costly than your other typical solutions to get rid of a house. But would you say that, if you're doing a lot of reclaiming and reusing, that in the end, it actually saves you a little bit more money?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a list of, and I think that it's a good idea. I think we're going to start posting a lot of this stuff on our website, vemadeconstruction.com, just answering a lot of these
Nice
questions.
plug.
Yeah, I was like, good plug.
I only have to mention it 3 more times now. So we have, just being able, there's a lot of education. We're going through education stage right now. We were teaching at BCIT deconstruction management for a bit. It was a great opportunity as part of the micro-credential in sustainability we were doing. There was some funding that was available, so we had amazing people coming in here, architects, builders, engineers, all excited about this work. And then afterwards, the money ran out. So it's part of the thing where we have to continue fighting to educate. And part of that education is that, apart from donating all the material, feeling great about that, then you're also having the material that you can purchase back from Habitat at a really good price. And you can actually start creating whatever you want. You also have the option of keeping whatever material you want. So a lot of,
I do that. I handpick through the stuff for my nice stuff. But I wanted to make sure we touched on the point that when you talk about savings, so one of these, again, the big leap of faith Eric has made here is he's going to construct his home out of recycled panels. Now, to put into context, if you're building a home, we normally use about $20 to $25 a square foot, depending on the structural intent of the home to build it. So, you're looking at a 3,000 square foot home, you're looking at about $80,000 worth of lumber.
Yeah, wood is expensive.
Just the wood. So now let's imagine now that you can deconstruct your home at a cost for $35,000. Then you can take that home and literally plug that lumber right back into your new home. So now there's an immediate savings. So not only do you get your tax write-off, but let's say half of that cost of 75, so let's say another 30, now goes into recycled, reclaimed panels, or as we're using at 1908, we're actually using the material for all my non-load bearing backing. It's going to save me $18,000 to $20,000 in salvage material that I can now put back into the home. And that's good structural material. And, and we're also trying to work with some engineers of how you can regrade this salvage material so you could use it for more structural material. So there's lots of new stuff coming up, but savings, tax breaks, material is the easy one. You just plug that number in, and now you've just saved the entire cost of what it would cost you to deconstruct your home.
And that's the thing is when you look at prices right away, and we've talked about this on the show all the time, is like, you're like, oh, well, that's a lot. But then you don't realize that it gives back to you.
Yes.
Because you're doing the right things. Because when you get rid of a home and you demolish it, you don't save anything. So yes, maybe that is cheaper, but in the long run, you got to rebuy everything. Or like you were saying, wood is expensive nowadays. So if we can save wood, way better.
Concrete, it's the idea
It sounds like it's just a matter of planning differently.
Yes.
Eric, I got a
100%,
question. Are there any instances that you can think of where deconstruction doesn't make sense?
So basically any home that is 1990 and newer, we've tackled 1990 all the way up to 1899. Those are the homes we've been able to deconstruct. Kind of the triage approach should be to keep the home where it is, and do a retrofit. That's the first best option. Option two is moving the home. That's a great opportunity. Great companies like
Nickel Brothers.
Nickel Brothers
Yeah.
and Renewal Development, real good companies that can move the home to other locations. And then deconstruction. So demo should never be an option unless a home is caught on fire or has been abandoned. And, those are kind of really the only two options. But yeah, deconstruction is great for everything. So we're a really good triage team there. And it's time to take the demo out of it, because apart from, demoing land assemblies, which are the kind of the biggest culprits here in the lower
yeah.
mainland, anywhere between 5 to 10 homes being demoed in a couple weeks. All that extra cost is coming, right? We're going to be dumping all of our lumber in the landfill, fill it up, and then what's going to happen? Where are we going to go and dump that stuff? Those costs are coming, and better to prevent
Then it costs thousands of dollars to dump it, and we already have to go through the process of separating it. But Eric and I have been talking about these, and we've been speaking with the city. The sustainability department, like I said, came and talked to us, talked to Eric and I and Barb at 1908. One of the biggest things we're saying is that you take down 5 of these homes on a land assembly, and the material that comes out of that could easily build 2 brand new homes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the thing where you're saying, of course, there is some material that you're not going to be able to reuse, just because it's not really able to be using it from a structural sense. But part of the things that Eric and I are looking into, and Eric is, again, a big advocate for this, is, can I take this reclaimed material and then with very little new lumber to add in, can we then build a new home that other people will then look at it and go, that's a really attractive home. And you built it with what? You built that all with salvage material. That's amazing.
And one of the cool things about it is the story behind it, right? We haven't
Yeah.
spoken about the story.
Your home tells a story now.
Yeah.
Your home has a history.
Yeah, and what's great is that we've actually had the material that was taken away from 1908. A lot of that material is going back into design, but other material that's available now in the, let's say, upcycling material pool, we can pick from that pool and then start using it for building. So we actually have an architect that deconstructed his home. That material was given basically kind of to 1908,
Yeah.
and they're using that material again. So that story continues, which is really great.
I like it. You're rewriting history with all the new homes. I guess another pain point people could kind of see this as, besides obviously, a misconception was about the cost, is the time. You said it takes about a week. I really wouldn't think that's much different than really demolishing a home. There's really not that much difference in time, is it?
No, so I mean, everything happens the same way. During the time that we go and reclaim, nothing's happening anyways. So we're recovering all that material and donating it. Typically when that home is shut down, people could break in and, do things. So we're there early, we're recovering good material. Then after that, the abatement continues the same way. And then after that, you basically are left with a home with shingles, framing, metal, and our team can pretty much do it from Monday to Saturday. Clean up, we're out of there. So it's not really any different than a demolition, excavator coming in and crushing the home in 3-4 days, having a big 80-yarder come and take it away. Nothing happens. It's just even an excavator stays on site for a couple extra days. Like
it takes some little more time. Really, the big thing is it takes a little more time to plan.
Yes.
And because the city gives us these allowances, like you said, we do the asbestos, we have the demolition permit in place. Builders can't build, so the house sits there and gets infested by rats, or it's a hazard for other kids in the neighborhood.
Or people are looting, which has happened.
Yeah, so why not take that time? And now I can take that 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is, deconstruct the home at my leisure, handpick all the best pieces out of it, and then when I get my permit, I'm now able to go to build. And I've got a surplus of material that I've already talked about with the designer. So I already know what I can salvage and then what has to be donated back to Habitat for someone else to utilize. So yes, one extra step for the builder. But as a homeowner, you're not losing time. And as I think we've already shown with the tax breaks and the ability to reuse material, it's not costing you anything else. A little bit more work up front. But again, put the right team in place, which I know I preach this and I'm going to keep beating on this. But if you have the right team that's willing to put that little bit of extra effort in, all of this becomes a no-brainer.
That's a great one. Just to comment on that, it was really great. I was watching the movie Formula One with Brad Pitt.
Oh.
And in that he said is like, if everyone does their part a little bit better, that basically goes from last to first.
Yeah.
And that's all we need,
Wow.
right? We need real estate agents to talk about, hey, congratulations on your home. Think about deconstruction. Let's not just go straight into demo. Builders and developers educating the clients on what's happening, so everyone can do their part. It's not just us, one deconstruction company trying to do one thing. It's the whole team, and this is our city, and we shouldn't allow for homes and our history and our where we lived for a long time just to be destroyed.
Well, it's
right?
part of our story.
Yeah.
It's how we grew up, and it's just being bulldozed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I know we had that one house on Venable. Said the owner wanted to save the casings on the door because it told a story about his kids growing up. And on all the doors, it had little marks of where the kids grew. And so I said, oh, what a cool story. So I know, like, when we reframed his house, we had kept all the casing and numbered it for the kids' rooms, so that when he came back to the home, we still had all that door casing with all his kids' growth marks on it, and we put it back on the kids' doors. So, I mean, little stuff like that. I mean, that's where a homeowner has the opportunity to tell a little bit about a story about who they are. Because what better form of pride do you have in saying, most of this material came out of my old house that I love so dearly? Yes. And it tells a little bit of a story about who you are. And it gives instead of the homeowner walking into a brand new car and saying, well, I bought this Ferrari, I don't really know anything about it, it's just really cool. Now you're walking into a home where you said, you know what? I remember when they salvaged that wall, and that countertop came from that cool, we had the old bowling alley. So, I mean, your home now starts to tell a story about who you are as a person. And I think that's the kind of excitement I want to start generating. I mean, I realize I can't build every home in Vancouver, but the legacy homes is what I want to do. And I think that's the people that are around me. Mike can attest to this because he's done quite a few of my homes now. Same with Eric. I mean, we're creating something special, and we want to be able to teach builders how to do that too. So,
speaking of something special, this has been a very special conversation, and in many ways an inspiring conversation. However, the least favorite part of hosting this podcast is when we run out of time at the end and we have to wrap it up.
Todd talked too much.
No, Todd talked
No,
just
you
the right
said
amount.
really
and so did
great
Eric.
stuff, Todd.
Yeah, no, this was all great information. And what I'm taking away from it is that deconstruction is the future of construction. And it's going to help people like me when it comes time save money,
Yes.
save materials, offset the impact of building a new home. And most importantly, as we as an industry progress and grow and move ahead together, we can work together to hit our goals as a team. And there's nothing more exciting than that as we
Nailed
look
it.
ahead.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
That was a good way to deconstruct it.
Absolutely.
Deconstruct the whole.
We are in
deconstruct
season
the whole
10. This
conversation.
is
Deconstruct the
our first rodeo.
conversation. I think you're rubbing off on me, your dad jokes. Yeah,
well.
a little bit. Season 10.
joke.
One more thing before you guys go. Todd, I know you've given us so many tips over the years. You cannot use the same one as you did last time. You got to give me a new tip, each of you, for one thing homeowners should know.
Okay, new tip, one I haven't beat to death before on this. You know what? Homeowners need to have the courage to be able to ask for and believe. A lot of homeowners have said, I love the idea of salvage, but I was too afraid to ask. Why not make it part of the conversation right out of the gate? Like, if that's something that's very close and dear to your heart, make it part of the conversation when you interview a builder. Are they like-minded? Because the last thing you want is a homeowner, or for yourself to be saying, I probably could have done more and I missed my opportunity. So the one thing I've learned is, because I mean, by nature, you don't want to probably believe this, but I'm a little bit shy, and I've had a hard time.
Definitely don't think you're shy, but that's okay.
Well, this is something that people have taught me too, Todd. You have valuable stuff to say, and you should say it. So I think that goes for the homeowners too. Like, if you believe, and you believe in the sustainability, and we hope they will, then have that courage to say, okay, how do I as a homeowner get more involved? And then let us educate you. Because I think that's the first thing, is letting homeowners know that this is a really cool way to build, and it's only going to gain momentum. So how do we educate the homeowner? How do we educate builders? And how do we make everyone part of this plan?
Very cool. Very cool.
Now you got to follow that. What is your tip?
Hire Todd.
That's a great tip.
That's a good
That's
one.
a great tip.
No, I'm thinking, we live in the capital city of demolition in North America. There's no other city that demos more homes than we do.
I didn't
We're
know that.
really good at it. So it's number one is exactly that goes well with Todd is being able to educate the homeowner and pass that information. But it's also an opportunity for us as a city community to talk and talk more about deconstruction because we need bylaws that bring in a wood salvage plan for every home. So that means that homes are recovered. They're not just recycled and turned into landfill, top fill. So talking to getting the conversation going in the cities. District of North Vancouver is the only one that has a wood salvage plan, which is fantastic because we can catch homes that are not, being destroyed because they're 1950 and older. They need a 75% wood reclaiming wood salvage plan, which allows more deconstruction companies to start kind of coming in. So I would say it comes from the people. The people have the power, and we need to keep talking about what we want. And demolition is only the option because they don't know deconstruction is an option.
Absolutely. Well said.
Well, I love that. Let's keep talking. And on that topic, it has been a great conversation, as it always is with Todd and Eric. You're welcome back here anytime.
Oh, you heard it. There's the invite.
Oh,
I know,
you
right?
passed your first time.
Exactly. And you know what? There is one thing that we still have to do. This is actually one of my favorite things to do.
Cartwheel?
We are so grateful to our audience, the people who watch this show, stream it on YouTube, and we want to do something nice for you. So here's what we're going to do. If you share this episode, tell your family, tell your friends, tell people you meet on the street, say, hey, measure twice, cut once. It's the stuff. If you do that, you can win yourself a Napoleon Prestige P500 stainless steel natural gas barbecue valued at over $1,600. Compliments of our podcast partners at Fortis BC. All you have to do to win, in addition to listening to this episode, is go to havan.ca/measure twice, cut once.
And for notes and links to everything mentioned on today's episode, including resources shared by Eric and Todd, head to havan.ca/measure twice, cut once.
And don't forget, HAVAN, the Home Builders Association of Vancouver, is proudly affiliated with CHBA BC and CHBA National. That means our members and our homeowners that we work with benefit from 3 different levels of advocacy and education supporting anyone looking to build or renovate.
Which is exactly why this podcast exists, to share knowledge and connect people across the industry. And of course, we couldn't do it without our partners, Trail Appliances, Fortis BC, BC Housing, Ramey Films, JPod Creations, and AI Technology and Design. It takes a team to build a home, and so does it to bring you this podcast.
Thank you both for joining us. We'll see you in the
thank
next
you.
episode.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.